Hello, Sapiens. Today we have with us Sanya Jain, who has recently completed her master's from IIT Gandhinagar and has received Swiss Government Fellowship. I'm sure there will be a lot to learn today, especially about graduation studies and abroad studies process. All of that with a pinch of cognitive science. That is what I hope. So, welcome, Sanya. Welcome to the
Thank,
podcast.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me, Ishan.
All right. So let's start. This is my favorite part generally, so I keep it in the starting. I would love to start from the other person's story.
Hmm.
So although we can see some things on the LinkedIn and a lot of things you shared on Twitter, which is
Yeah.
like special part of your life. Just to go a little bit, let's start from the high school.
Okay, high school. Not a really great time for me because high school was when I started, facing the rush of, again, that happens in everyone's life, difficult emotions, difficult experiences, a lot of expectations, and lack of clarity about, what to pursue because I could see so many options in front of me.
Mhm.
I didn't know really. I was initially interested in doing English, literature as a
Okay.
major.
So you
And
were a PCM student?
huh? No, no, no. I
PCMB?
no, 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 none of
No.
that. So
Okay.
I have studied in ICSC and an ISC board.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So we had to choose between science and commerce from ninth standard itself.
All
So
right.
I chose science in ninth. My first 2 years of the high school were as a science student, and then after that, I realized that it's not really giving me insight into, myself because I've always
Mhm.
wanted to know about my own self, know about why we behave the way we do. So I was wondering maybe,
Interesting.
yeah, so I was wondering maybe let's just switch from science and explore something else. So then again, I was a bit confused about what courses to take. So luckily, the school that I joined offered me a very nice suite of courses. Like I was able to take up psychology
Mhm.
and along with other courses, which really interested me at that point, like commerce, accounts.
You had the privilege of choosing something that you
Yeah,
want.
absolutely, absolutely. Because
That's what CBSE doesn't doesn't provide us.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then again, the best part was that my parents had never, a lot of students who have to bear the, expectations of their parents. That wasn't with me. So whatever I've done in my life with regard to whatever I wanted to study, however I wanted to study, and
Mhm.
how long I wanted to study, it's all been, left to me. So I'm very fortunate that
That's
way.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my high school, pretty much.
Any best memory that you have from the high school studies?
I think the farewell, not the one that we received, but the one that we gave. So when we were in 11th standard, we had to
Mhm.
all, it was the best memory because we didn't have to study all the time. We would just, bunk our classes saying, oh my God, we are preparing for the farewell. It's going to be so nice. We want to really.
So you were like an extrovert, if I can say that.
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, actually, let me bring a little bit of psychology here. We sort of categorize people into introverts, extroverts, and
Yes.
you've heard of this category called ambiverts.
Ambivert. Yeah.
All of us somewhere ambiverts, or
Mhm.
maybe one cannot be labeled as an extrovert because how much we want to expose ourselves to the
Mm.
external world really depends on our situation and
Mhm.
our own personal, mental state. So it's
Absolutely.
a complex attribute than it looks like, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, you could say that I lean towards extroversion. I would like to gain a lot of pleasure by, being around people
Mm.
and participating in active. I love to do, anchoring. I've anchored the hundreds of events. I was
Lovely.
able to, face the stage since third standard.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it was a pretty good experience, and that would be my best memory as far as I can recollect now.
if if I read it correctly somewhere while researching, I think you wrote that you wanted to be, or you still want to be. I'm not really sure, but you want to be a science communicator.
Absolutely.
So you are kind of combining that love for anchoring and that love for science that you later on found.
Absolutely, you've gauged it absolutely because correctly because what happens in academia, right? If you're really into mainstream academia, where only doing research and research. Of course, you can be a science communicator while being a researcher,
Mm-hmm.
but again, there is only so much time you have, and if you want
Who's
to,
your favorite one? Neil.
I love science communicator.
Yeah.
There's this science communicator that I absolutely adore. Her name is Shweta Chakrabarti.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there is this another one. Her name is Raven, the science maven. You
Yeah,
check out her,
I've heard about her. Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
So these are
Uh,
like some of the people who bring in a lot of spice and flavor in how they communicate science.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, no? I think
Actually,
that's the name. If I'm pronouncing it right, I'm
yeah,
not.
yeah. But then since you asked me my favorites, and then yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there are many, but the
Mm-hmm.
ones that I really look up to and that I really
Mm-hmm.
regularly follow, because I think
But
Shweta, yeah, no, ask.
just asking, like, what intrigued this this science communicator thingy inside?
What?
What intrigued? Like, how did it start out?
How
How?
did it start out? Okay, so I realized in the course of my bachelor's and my master's that, this entire uh, thing of being able to share my own voice
Mm-hmm.
just remained restricted to white paper research, or by just
Mm-hmm.
publishing research papers or, participating in conferences. And I felt that it was restricting the amount of people I could, reach out to, because
Mm-hmm.
that is sort of, restricted to academics,
Yes.
and I again because I feel and I've been told that I can explain stuff really well. I can explain
Mm.
very complicated concepts in a very simple manner. I
Okay.
Yeah, I initially thought of becoming a professor, but then
Mm-hmm.
again, if for me personally, I wanted to do something more dynamic. Of course, being a
Mm.
professor requires a lot of effort. I have like a lot of respect for that
Absolutely.
profession, but for me, initially, I wanted to try something else, which is more dynamic, which is something which brings me out of my comfort zone. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I just started, gaining interest in science communication. And yeah, and now here.
Absolutely. That's amazing. So okay, high school was fun. Was more like, you trying to find out who you are, how do
Yeah,
you think, and why do you think whatever you think.
absolutely.
Now from ICSC to Delhi University, how was that?
So when I'm gonna share my experiences, I'm gonna
uh,
share my experiences. For some experiences, I'm gonna name the college because
mm-hmm,
I've had the privilege of studying in two colleges, and
mm-hmm.
for the other set of experiences, I won't. Okay,
Okay.
for obvious reasons. So I have done my bachelor's in psychology from Daulat Ram College, Delhi
Mm-hmm,
University, and it was the most, I should say, blissful experience of my life. I mean, unlike a lot of students who tend to, not be satisfied or who don't have a, great experience with their bachelor's, I have been one of the luckiest because I had the best faculty, I had the best, mentors. So my Delhi University journey throughout the three
mm-hmm,
years was just phenomenal. And before I actually got into Daulat Ram, I had
mm-hmm.
gotten into another college for the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
And in our admission, in that particular year when I got admitted, we had this really amazing feature of, migrating. I mean,
Yes.
there is one thing that you migrate after completing 1 year in a college and then you migrate to
Yes.
another. But then there is this procedure of vacant seats if someone has, withdrawn their admission and if they want to go to
Mm-hmm.
another college.
Which
So
college did you take in admission?
initially,
Yeah.
I won't name that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I've
I
had
guess there is a story related to it.
Yeah,
That's
because I've had horrible experiences in that college.
okay.
And I wouldn't say like, I mean, of course, horrible is going to be a harsh word, but it was something that I got in Delhi. I had moved out of my home for the first time. And then
Mm-hmm.
college where I didn't feel really safe, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for various reasons. I just didn't feel safe. I didn't feel that I was in a space where my personal choices were being respected. So
Mm.
I used to be very extremely, extremely disappointed and probably verging on again verging on the um I mean, I was falling on the verge of being anxious and
Oh,
experiencing a lot of
just 2 weeks.
yeah, because it was such a culture shock for me. I mean, it
Mm.
was a huge shock because it actually happens in the first phase, because later on you start to adapt. So
Yeah.
the outbursts of emotions happen just when you've moved out.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So, and then, yeah, and then I really used to pray, I hope I get into DRC. It was North Campus. It was very happening. The faculty was amazing. Everything opposite of my first college. you know.
Mm.
So I mean, yeah, and then it just, thankfully I was able to apply through that procedure and I got in. So whatever I the love that I have for psychology is because
Mm.
of that college and that faculty that I had.
Okay, so a lot of fun, I'm guessing, because there are a lot of fests,
Yeah,
amazing fest that
and that
happens
was
in North Campus.
the best part was that it was pre-COVID, man.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID time.
I really feel sorry for this batch started last year, or even
Yeah.
started last to last year even.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so let's stick to your story. So that was Daulat Ram,
Yeah.
and any what are the things that stood out for you? Your friends after those passing those 3 years, your friends, faculty,
Um,
the knowledge that you gain, exposure that you get.
okay, so what stood out? Of course, a couple of my friends, we've been able to reach out to one another even after we go without speaking for many months, right? That's
Okay,
one.
that's rare.
But I think the most important aspect would be the fact that I was able to learn the
Mm-hmm.
subject which I wanted to learn. And
Mm.
that is what you look for in an institute. If you're
In the safe environment.
in a safe environment, in an environment where, I didn't feel any need to restrict myself from
Mm.
expressing, my thoughts. And I could just go very, just I just had to, worry about, and not even worry, I just had to be concerned about my studies and nothing else.
Mm.
And if
Mm.
you are in that situation where you only have to worry about, or if you only have to be concerned about one thing that you are
Mm.
there for,
Mm-hmm.
then you should consider yourself really privileged.
Okay, so
And
you are a studious extrovert.
so I mean, I don't know, people don't believe it, but I am a very sort of a lazy person with respect to doing things. So
Okay.
if there's something that I like, then I'll give my whole and soul to it. So because psychology, made me understand, human
Mm-hmm.
behavior. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was good at it, it made me feel really
Mm-hmm.
competent. Okay, so just
Mm-hmm.
that acted as a reward for me.
Mm-hmm.
When I felt competent, I wanted to do it more, better, and I've always, gone beyond the normal classroom experience, and I have taken, standpoints which weren't very popular in my
Okay.
own classroom, among my own teachers. And then I would, research stuff and, talk to them over personal emails after classes that, look, this is what I found. And I would totally, they would be intrigued. Okay, so yeah, I've always wanted to surpass, other people's expectations, not because I was, um, required to, but
Do you
that gave
think you're
me,
competitive?
huh?
You think you're competitive?
No, I meant competence, competence.
No, I'm just asking, do you think you're
Okay, okay.
competitive?
Yeah, of course. I think I am competitive, and sometimes I've been competitive with other people, with other people in my own class, and other
Mm-hmm.
times I've been competitive. Sometimes I've always had this, I've also had this, feeling of competition with the professors because I want to
Okay.
know more than them, just going, hyper in that hyper competitive mode. But yeah, just to answer your question, of course I am competitive, and I would like to mark, myself by being in the top spots of whatever I wanted to do. Because let's face it, I mean, I'm not, of course, promoting unhealthy competition, but
Mm-hmm.
you have a healthy or an optimum desire for competition, and it can actually help you push towards the best.
That's capitalism. I would urge you to use some jargon from psychology and throughout the conversation when you feel like, don't dumb down. Like I felt throughout whatever you were saying,
Mm.
you were trying to actually dumb down a bit.
No,
Dumb down. No, no.
no, absolutely not. I'm not
Like,
trying
please
to
use it. See, I really feel intrigued when like someone else is saying something that I don't understand, and it's just for my personal sake. If you can use, you please use.
Of course, I can. I think as a science communicator, also,
Uh-huh.
I don't believe that you have to dumb down, because then you are considering the other person. Actually, the word dump, again, it's a very problematic,
Yes.
this thing. And apart from that, we are actually putting ourselves on a pedestal that, we have
Mm.
to sort of dilute the term so that other people can understand it. So I think it comes from a place of arrogance, and some scientists are arrogant that way, but science
Mm.
it is try to bridge that gap. So I just speak
Yes.
the way that I understand things for myself. I don't
Mm.
dilute them, or I don't hyper, jargonize them, if that's a word. But yeah, it's just what comes to me
On
naturally.
that lazy part, you said like nobody believes, or nobody, like actually the first impression doesn't give this
Yeah.
out that you are a lazy person. But this is just a joke. But does it have anything to do with us having this conversation now and not 1 month ago? Just asking.
I mean, of course. I know actually that conversation, that part might be because I was receiving a lot of messages on Twitter.
I
So,
am just kidding. I
no,
just
no, no. Yeah. But for the lazy part, I think if you asking for an example, I
Mhm.
mean, there are so many. I can't think of one properly. But yeah, I think yeah. So I have to, I had to join this gym, right? I think it's a
Mhm.
special example that everybody wants to join the gym, and then
Me
you
too.
don't go. So I just went for the first day,
Me
and then
too.
it was a part. It was no, it was closed that day out of
Oh,
an emergency, and then after that, I was like, I'll go tomorrow. I'll go tomorrow, and then after that 2 weeks, I was able to go today. Now let's see how long I can continue. So yeah, I think I'm lazy. Also because sometimes I procrastinate.
okay.
But I shouldn't compare procrastination with laziness, because
Yes, we should.
procrastination is basically driven by the fear of failure,
Failure. Yeah,
the desire of
absolutely.
utmost perfection. But yeah, but you can say that I am sometimes lazy because I just don't
It's
care.
okay. So your graduation ends there,
Yes.
and now you have moved to, you have, I, of course there would be an entrance exam, and would
Yeah.
have studied hard and then went to IIT.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been like, of course in hindsight it could be easier for you,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, it doesn't look like easy. Coming, since you were in the space where it's not highly competitive, but it's moderately competitive. As far as I know, it's not that really like, too
Yeah.
much competitive, but it is
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
how was IIT for you?
yes. Actually, with respect to competition, I think it's actually competitive, and you know why?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because you are not competing against the entire world. You're competing against the best people that are out there in any
Yeah.
field for that matter. So if
Mm.
you feel that, I mean, I'm just not saying it, for psychology, for any subject,
Mm-hmm.
for any course. Uh, if you are applying for admission in a reputed institution, then it's not like you have to compete with the entire people. It's just the top,
Yeah.
90
Cream.
percenters apparently. So,
Yeah.
so in DU also, after a lot of, I had 95.25 percent in my 12th,
Okay.
and it was after a lot of crying and applications and everything that I could get to a college of my choice, because of course.
DU is so bad at this
Yeah, yeah,
thing.
and then yeah, but I guess I think that experience really taught me a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
about how to make decisions and
Mm.
why it was a wrong decision. Because another college that I got along with that college, which I'm not naming, was Kamla Nehru,
Okay, that was
and
also
I
good.
didn't go to Kamla Nehru. Okay,
Okay.
and was killing myself for not having gone to Kamla Nehru because of some stupid Quora answers that I had read. So
Mm.
that taught me the importance of taking decisions
Mhm.
beyond what Quora tells you. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I was about 18 years, very naive, and just starting out. So Quora was something. And
You
then yeah,
think?
so
Yeah.
so that was about D. When about IIT, for my batch, specifically, the acceptance rate, from the phase of
Mm-hmm.
application to the phase of acceptance is pretty low. So I
Mm-hmm.
think the acceptance rate ranges between 4 to 5%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for instance, in our batch,
Mm-hmm.
at least 600 people had applied when we were
Okay.
taking it. And then there was an entrance test that I think they had selected 100 people out of it, 80 to 100
Mm.
people out of it, out of
Mm-hmm.
600. And then after the final, there's this interview which happened, who cleared the entrance test, and 15 to 16, 15 to 16, 15 to
Mm-hmm.
16 students were selected. So it was a lot of competition, if you think about it, because it's the acceptance rate was so low, and we didn't really know although we had an idea because our previous batches, we could see that only 15, 16 students in every batch. So what's the matter? We thought that less
Mm-hmm.
people must have applied. But when we went there and saw so many people taking the test, the entire auditorium was filled up pre-COVID, fill in as many people as possible. And I was okay. And I felt it was competitive, but I think whatever got me through the entrance was again a bit of luck. There's always an
Mm.
element
Yes.
of chance, and
Yes.
uh, and I think, but for most part, it has to be your own interest, your genuine hard work.
Mm.
So that's how I got into it. Because in the interview is very brutal in some cases.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
Because it's their majburi as well. Like they have to filter out from a
yeah.
lot of people.
Yeah, I think they would also one thing. I mean, if any listener is interested in
Mm.
applying for a cognitive science program in IIT GN, I
Mhm.
think one of the ways, one of the parameters that they judge you on is that they ask you sometimes ridiculously and unexpectedly easy questions, so that do there are some questions which are extremely easy, but not a lot of people know about it. So, for instance,
Mm.
I was asked, um, what is the difference between psychology and psychology honors? Because when I went inside, I
Mm.
was like, telling that I have a psychology honors. I'm pursuing my psychology honors. Like, psychology honors, what's the difference between BA psychology and BA honors psychology? You know,
Mm.
and then your ability to handle that question and not getting, okay, now what do I have to do? It's such an easy question. So, they actually judge you on the basis of your emotional regulation. If you don't know an answer, so it's not just about, again, your theoretical knowledge. It's about your emotional quotient, your
Mm.
emotional competence as well.
Mm. Mm.
So that's the story about the admissions. Yeah.
So you just graduated from IIT, right? If I'm
Yes.
not wrong. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
How was that different from DU?
I think I had again, luckily, wonderful experience again in my masters. I
Okay.
didn't have anything to complain about apart from the fact that COVID kicked in and took a lot of my, experiences from
But you
IIT.
still got 1 year, no?
Yeah, yeah, no, I got 1 year approximately, and then yeah, so initially we were on campus, and then we were sent back in March 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went back to the campus again, although our
Mm.
class was still online. But since I was a master's student, we have to do our thesis,
Yeah.
had to be in the lab. So we
Yeah.
went, I went again to the campus, and it was pretty much the same, apart from the fact that we didn't have regular classes. We had online
Mm.
classes on
Mm.
Zoom and Google Meet. So, but yeah, I mean, the time that I spent with my lab mates, the time that I spent with my supervisor, all of that really taught me a lot of life lessons. It taught me a lot of things about science, which no one can actually know from, just reading and reading. You really have
Mm.
to have those kinds of mentors and colleagues who can teach you so much more about science than what is traditionally taught to us.
Amazing.
So I had a really amazing experience at IIT again.
If it's okay to ask about your current, like what are you currently pursuing?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 yes. So I initially again, I've had very diverse interests. So if I like something today, I probably won't like it after 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, or maybe I would like
All
it.
of us, just the
Yeah,
secret,
yeah. But then not a lot of us
would
do
tend to change it.
would tend to change it. I would
Yes.
just go ahead and change it because it's just one life and I don't care. Like, I have to change it. I
Yeah.
Yeah. So I applied for two positions
Mm-hmm.
for my higher studies. Of course, one was a PhD position,
Mm-hmm.
and another was the Swiss Government Excellence Fellowship, which
Yes.
I had. So I had also earned the PhD, offer, but it
Mm-hmm.
was not fully funded. I mean, I had to go there, and then I had to make sure that I could arrange funds from external sources, or some work on campus, but it wasn't funded like traditionally. So of course
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't the best option for me to pursue. And second was the Swiss government. This was fully funded, everything was there. So I was planning to go to Switzerland in
Mm-hmm.
September,
Yeah.
but I had again some family, emergency. My mom had to undergo a surgery, unfortunately, and then I had to stay back here. So the Swiss government was really kind, and they understood my problem. and they were really appreciating my decision to support my family in the need of it. And yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with my decision, because the work that I wanted to do over there, I've actually found a position for myself within my own country, where I can work as a research scholar with a lot more avenues than I would have gotten in Switzerland. Of course, that would have been a different kind of experience, but now I'm working on a really diverse topic. So I'm studying wisdom as a research scholar.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm studying the science of wisdom, and not a lot of us are taught to be wise. Okay, we are taught
Mm-hmm.
to be better students, we are taught to be better decision makers, we are taught to be more productive, we are taught to be more economical. But I think one of the major aspirations that we have in life is to be wise, or that we should be able to take wise decisions. And always we look up monks and apparently gurus, who are considered saints, wise
Mm-hmm.
people. But I think wisdom is not associated with a is not actually related to a particular category of people. It can be taught to us. We can even, we probably have it, but we don't realize that we do have wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are working on how to democratize wisdom, basically.
Okay.
And yeah, so there's this hierarchical world that exists, where the top layer of the people, in the if you talk about in terms of cognition, that
Mm-hmm.
these are the wise people, then these are the normal people, and then here we are. But we want to change that. We want to make sure that every person
Mm-hmm.
is a library of wise thoughts, because they are. And that's how we are trying to democratize wisdom. No, 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 no boundaries, nothing. Everyone is able to acquire and transfer wisdom. That's what
Okay.
we.
So what internet does? What internet did to information, you guys are trying to do with the wisdom,
Yeah, but
because
yeah, I think, but then what internet did to exactly. So internet democratized uh,
information.
information, and we are trying to do that because it exists within. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that there aren't tools to tap it.
I'm chipped in right now. Okay. So does it have anything to do with self-awareness, meditating, of
Uh,
physics?
okay, so yeah. So I think wisdom, if we were to simplify it, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it because people would understand it, because I'm simplifying it for my own understanding and for my own
Mm-hmm.
expression. Wisdom is basically, a constellation of many attributes. So one of the major attributes that wise people have is sound decision making. Okay. And by sound decision making, it's about being able to make the right kind of trade offs. Because no matter what decision you make in life,
Mm-hmm.
you'll always have this, oh, what if I decided alternatively? Oh, what if I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do this? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that I'll give you an example. Let's say that I have to make a decision between going to Switzerland and not going to Switzerland. Okay. And now, uh, was it a wise decision?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, because my two values were at competition. So my value, I actually valued my studies, my academics. They were on one hand, and my love for my family was on another hand. So was it a wise decision? I mean, for me,
Mm-hmm.
it was a wise decision. For you, it might not be a wise decision.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they had to be a trade-off. I
Mm-hmm.
traded, two values again. So our ability to make the right kind of trade-offs in a way that it does not make you feel regretful, or it does not
Mm-hmm.
make you feel anxious, or if it does make you feel anxious, you're able to deal with it. So if we are able to, make the right kind of trade-offs,
Mm-hmm.
then, you know, if we have a feeling of guilt later on, it's not as much as it would have been if we made the wrong kinds of trade-offs, right? So for instance, if I were to engage in, I'm sorry if people here smoke, but
Okay.
I personally don't support smoking. So if I have to make a decision between smoking and not smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if let's say that I smoked for 10 years, or if I
Mm-hmm.
smoked for, whatever number of months or years,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did that because it was very cool, but
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't be a wise decision, because the guilt of having spoiled my health would make me
Mm-hmm.
so anxious, right? For a person
Mm-hmm.
like me.
Okay.
So yeah, so being able to make the right kind of decisions and whatever emotions follow after it,
Mm-hmm.
being able to be comfortable with them and realizing that no matter what decision you take, it is always going to be what if we took the other decision. It's up to
Mm-hmm.
us how much, you know, we
I
can
think
handle
I think
it.
I caught it right. It's self-awareness.
Yeah, I think, of course, yeah, because you know why it's self-awareness, because in order for you to trade off, you really
Mm-hmm.
need to know what you value more. And for that,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be self-aware. So
Mm-hmm.
exactly, self-awareness is rooted in the foundation of being able to buy. So that's one thing. Another thing is being able to humble yourself and realizing that you don't know everything. And I think the only way that you can learn from other people, or that you can learn from the world, is realizing that you are not the know all.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this component of intellectual humility that wise people have, that allows them to expose themselves to different kinds of information, and that helps them uplift their own, cognitive abilities and reflective abilities. And then another important component is perspective taking. We should be able to take other people's perspective. That's how we can establish peace, and we should distance ourselves, from our ego, if you will.
Alter ego. There is a concept of alter ego, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, but alter ego is basically someone who's just like you.
Mm.
And for instance, if I have a friend who's just like me, okay, just like me,
Mm-hmm.
he would be my alter ego. But
Mm.
here, by the term ego, I'm using it, again, to simplify my own expression. Ego is basically not to take things very personally. Okay,
Mm.
try to try to think from a third person's perspective. If, let's say that if I am, posing a if I'm pitching an idea, in a
Mm-hmm.
presentation, and there are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of members in the presentation, then uh, I should be able to accommodate their perspective and not take
Mm-hmm.
it as an attack on my own abilities, right? And that can only come if you distance yourself, if you don't take things personally. Because if you started taking things personally, then you can never take perspectives, right?
Interesting.
So, yeah. And then I think lastly, it's about being able to integrate different kinds of experiences, different kinds of perspectives in a way that is best suited for a situation. So let's say that, again, it's pretty much similar to making trade-offs. So let's say that there's this babysitter, who's been newly appointed, and now she's just, taking care of the baby, and she suddenly gets a call that she needs to be in the hospital because her mom, has had a heart attack. Now what does she do? Should she leave the job? Should she leave the baby? Or
Mm-hmm.
should she attend her mom? Because both are very important. So how do you integrate that? How do you deal with those kinds of situations?
Mm-hmm.
That being able to make those decisions, and then being able to be okay with the consequence of that decision, constitutes wisdom. So yeah, of
Interesting.
course. Yeah, so that's a very
Is there
dynamic.
any practical side of this?
Yeah, of course. It's actually called practical wisdom.
Okay.
Our ability to make these kinds of trade-offs in everyday life is practical wisdom, because we are applying the knowledge about how to be wise in everyday situations. Like
Mm-hmm.
today I had to make a lot. We make a lot of wise decisions every day. We just
Mm-hmm.
think of them as, that everyone does it, but we don't realize, if we are made to introspect, if we are made to perform some activities, if we are tapped into our own ability to be wise using tools in, tactics, then we'll realize how many wise decisions we've been making throughout our lives.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I think that summarizes. If I'm not wrong, I read it in your SOP that you posted on Twitter. I think, and I'm quoting you. Your long-term goal is to identify the social determinants that uh, predispose a pragmatic individual to dysfunctional behavior,
Yeah.
mostly
Yes. Yes.
health-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, yeah, I mean, what causes a pragmatic individual to take dysfunctional decisions? I mean, is it peer pressure? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
or is it, again, is it something wrong that happened to you? Is it driven by an unfortunate incident?
Mm-hmm.
So all of us are, on some level, very economical beings. We always try to maximize our own benefit, because,
Selfish.
we are, absolutely. I mean, it's how humans, have evolved.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about it. Between your own father and somebody else's father, who will you save if they are, I mean, I'm just giving you an example. Who will you save out of a dangerous situation? Your own father, right?
See, absolutely. I think I can agree. If we are not selfish, then we wouldn't be here. Like, evolution wouldn't support us.
Exactly. Evolution wouldn't support us. You're totally right. So again,
Mm,
I'm just giving this example so that people can think. And I think being selfish again is okay unless you are harming another person due to your.
mhm,
Again, it's about balancing. So
mm,
it's important to be selfish enough so that you can take care of yourself, so that you can take care of
mhm,
your kid, but not in a way that it disrupts the common good.
mm,
So if you are like, you love to listen to loud music,
mhm,
and then you're like, I don't care, like the entire society is getting disturbed, I don't care. That's being you know asocial, right?
mm,
that's
mm,
being that's being a dysfunctional element of the society. But if you are trying to, in very high stake situations, trying to save your own family,
mhm,
who will you save? So if you're trying to save your own family, I mean, we are programmed
mhm,
to be like that. And by that, I think I should caution, I don't mean that one should engage in disruptive behaviors again.
mhm.
Collective good, we should always take care of the collective good, because we are social animals as much as we are animals. We're social
Mhm.
animals. We have to
Yes,
maintain a society. We have to do good deeds, right? But
absolutely.
at the same time, taking care of ourselves is also important.
Good. I think this is, of course, there is a lot behind this. The things that you guys go into detail, like, I think you would be performing a lot of experiments, a lot of
Absolutely.
questioning, answering, and a lot of surveys would have been happening. I accidentally took participation in one of the survey from biomedical of my like biomedical department of my college, and
Yeah.
it was like half an hour, just half an hour, but they made me do literally everything,
Yeah.
um, from answering questions to actually my I don't know what is the best way to say this, but blood and stool samples. So what I was
Oh my
actually
God.
thinking at that moment, and
Yeah.
it was not
Yeah. So
not what I expected, but it was nice.
yeah. No, yeah, I think it's different. It's all different kinds of experiments that you're made to do in psychology. I think
Hmm.
what you are mentioning is, of course, very biological in nature. But
Hmm.
even in psychology, when we are trying to experiment in the stress domain,
Hmm.
then there are certain biomarkers, such as
Hmm.
the saliva is one, because
Hmm.
it shows increased levels of stress hormone if
Yes,
you're stressed,
yes.
and
Blood
then
pressure.
yeah, blood pressure and everything. So yeah, I mean, it's all interdisciplinary. And if you are into a biopsychological kind of a lab,
Hmm. Hmm.
then you would again
No,
have to.
they wouldn't.